My name is Laurie, and I have a physical therapy background, pediatrics, specialize in neurology and developmental pediatrics. I've been doing that for almost as many years as I've been at PT, which is like 30. And about 13 years ago, I stumbled across something called MNRI. And I'll be giving a bigger lecture at 3 o'clock that'll talk a little bit more about MNRI. But MNRI is working towards, a lot of you have probably heard the buzzword primitive reflexes. So we do address primitive reflexes in an amazing way, addressing all three parts of the circuit. This was way back before. In 2010, there was only one other place in the United States that was doing primitive reflexes, and now it's kind of taken off, and it's a little bit of everywhere, but a lot of the companies are only addressing one portion of the three parts of the circuit, which if that's the part that's broken is fine, but if it's not, then you obviously should be addressing the entire circuit. So that's why sometimes you see, oh, well, my child did really well with this, where my child, it didn't really do anything, because that's not where the whole three-piece circuit was broken down. It could be broken down in any of the three parts, or any combination, or even all of the three parts could be broken. So with MNRI, we do address all parts of the reflex circuit. So Dr. Moskotova got her start. She is a psychologist, and so she has that type of a background. She is Russian, and she she was the head of the psych department at a university in Russia. There was a local catastrophe. She took a month off, went to the hospital to work, was working with her regular type of psych skills, and wasn't making any progress. Started doing body work instead, because she had learned some of that, and the success was phenomenal. And so she ended up staying 6 months instead of the 1 month that she took off, and that's kind of where MNRI was born. She came back to her research lab afterwards and said, why did this work, and started diving in and doing all the history and everything to get to it. So her first start was with PTSD, and once she started seeing amazing results with PTSD type diagnosis, she said one day, well, I wonder if this would work with cerebral palsy, and it did. I wonder if it'll work with Down syndrome, and it did. I wonder if it worked with concussions, and it did, right? So it's because, those reflexes are the foundation for everything we learn that very first year of life. All of those most basic skills, the reflexes are the foundation for that. So we'll talk more about that in the 3 o'clock lecture, but what I wanted to do for this little short lunch and learn was to take you through some of our exercises that we do for PTSD, because I wanted to pamper the parents today. I know all the parents are here for their children and always put themselves on the back burner. And so today we're here to pamper the parents a little bit and get you doing some of our PTSD. Now, these are just active exercises. They're self-initiated. Our work typically starts on a massage table with passive work, and then we work on our circuitry for the reflexes, and eventually start adding some active work, and some active work with some resistance added to it in order to fully integrate the reflexes. But in the beginning, it's passive. So, and usually you have someone working on you, like you would work on your child, or your therapist would work on your child. But we also have some self-initiated exercises that you can do yourself. They're on YouTube, some of the exercises I'm going to show you today are from a video that we have on YouTube. And if you look up MNRI or Moskotova and trauma recovery, it'll take you right to that video. And about the first 3 minutes of that video is a little bit of an explanation of what we're doing, and then the rest of it is just follow along exercises. So we're just going to do a snippet of those exercises today so that you can feel what they're doing for you. So I know I already told you, it's reflex based. Everything we're doing is working on the reflexes. The reflexes all wear multiple hats. I think that's important for you to understand. So like the hands grasp reflex, Robinson's hands grasp reflex, we're not just trying to work on the hands grasp reflex so that we can, you know, point with an index finger, right? Or we can do, you know, the pincer to pick up little Cheerios. You know, it's not just about fine motor skills. The hands grasp also is working on cognition, getting a grasping a concept, okay? It's also working from an emotional point of view, right? Do you have a grip on that situation? So the reflexes all work under multiple domains: cognition, social, emotional, motor, speech and language, all right? So that's why we can use them for stress and trauma, all right? So stand up. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is address the Morrow reflex, and Morrow is it's that fight or flight, okay? So we're going to inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth with all of our exercises. So it'll look like this. There's 4 parts to it. It'll be inhale to here, exhale to here, inhale again, and then exhale like you're hugging a ball. Okay, you ready? Okay, big breath in and inhale. Exhale. Inhale again. And hug a ball. Good. Let's do that again. Ready? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hug a ball. All right, one more time for this one. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hug a ball. Good. Okay. So sometimes when we are stuck in fight or flight, or even something called freeze, which is even worse than fight or flight, there's no movement involved there, we get stuck in this front to back plane. Everything is here. This is where it's all about the flexor muscles and the extensor muscles. So we're going to add some rotation because your world is here, right? And you're forgetting all about the world over here because you're so focused here. This is the focusing dimension. So we're going to bring you out of that focusing dimension and welcome you back to the world, okay? So we're going to do some rotation. Hands are here. First thing I want you to do is bring your eyes this direction, just your eyes. Now turn your head that direction. Now turn your shoulders that direction. And now let go with your leg and bring your whole hip around. Keep looking way to the side with your eyes and back to the center. Good. Okay, we'll go the other way. Let's do big breath in first, and then we'll move with the exhale, okay? Big breath in. Eyes, head, shoulders, exhaling, hips. Look as far as you can. And come back to the middle. Okay, again, big breath in. Exhale, eyes, head, shoulders. Keep looking as far as you can. Hips, let that arm go. Twisting as far as you can, looking as far as you can. Come back to the middle. One more time. Big breath in. Eyes, head, shoulders, hips, and arm. Stretch and look as far as you can. And back. Good. All right, so hopefully that's freed your body up just a little bit more. You've got a little bit more rotation. Our kids are very, very stuck like this. Okay, and one of the first things we do is try to regulate the muscle tone here and introduce movement in other planes, right? And that's going to help with some of that rigidity or hypotonia as well. All right, so now we're going to do something called trunk extension. So trunk extension is great for cognition, all right? It's going to get our brains functioning again, all right? And crawl it out of the mud so that we can think a little bit more clearly. So trunk extension is a combination of 3 movements. So I want to show you each move separately, okay? So the first movement is going to be what we call an anterior pelvic tilt. I can't push very much because the microphone's here, but you're going to push out here. So your hand is on your sacrum. Just push your bottom out to the side, okay? One more time, push your bottom out. There we go, good. The second move is crowning up here. So I want you to make a circle with your hands. And what you're going to do is try to elongate your neck. So this is not a movement backwards. It's a movement straight up to the ceiling. Okay, bring your crown back to it so it should be on the peak of your head. Okay, ready? Big breath in. And push your crown up into your fingers. Good, and relax. And we'll do that one more time. Push up into your fingers. Good, okay. So the third movement is that you're gonna take the heel of your hand and you're gonna pretend like you're pushing something really heavy and you're gonna push down to the ground. Okay, good, relax. We'll do that one more time. Push to the ground. Good. So we're going to put all 3 of these pieces together for the trunk extension reflex. So it's going to look like this. Push to the ground. I have my anterior tilt and my crowning all going on at the same time. Okay, we should be nice and tall. I can be normal size. Okay, and then let's just go the opposite direction. Tuck your chin. Bring your pelvis forward so that you're kind of slumped this way. Okay, and let's push down again. Ready? Big breath in and push. Good. And back to here. And then one more time. Big breath in, push. Good. And we're going to end on this nice extension where we have awareness, okay? All right. Just for this, I didn't want to go back into here. Wanted to finish with nice open. Okay. All right. For the 4th technique, we're going to do a breathing technique, but we're also going to combine this breathing technique with introducing lateral flexion extension. All right, because again, I'm trying to get you to move out of this front to back plane. So we've added rotation. Now we're going to add the other direction the spine goes, lateral flexion extension. But this is a perfect opportunity when you go into lateral flexion here. This side of your rib cage is compressed, but this side is nice and open and elongated, right? So at the same time, we're going to combine this with a breathing exercise. Because when you're in stress, you're only breathing through the upper lobes of your lungs, all right? You're not getting nice, deep, deep breaths down in the bottom of the lungs. This is where, so you have a lot of stress hormones that will sit here, okay? So we're going to try to purge some stress hormones. It's also going to help with the balancing of serotonin and melatonin so that you can have better sleep. Because you have to be able to breathe in order to get out of this freeze and fight and flight and to progress, right, and get rid of some of this stress. So here's what we're going to do. When we lean to the side, right, we are going to inhale through the nostril that's expanding, and so that we can really target this one lung that's nice and stretched out, okay? So we're going to use this finger to close one side of the nose. We're going to go this direction, and we're going to inhale as we move, okay? Ready? And breathe in. Good. And then we're going to exhale to the front. All right, other nostril. Ready? Breathe in and out. Good. Let's do it again. Breathe in and out. And in and out. Good. Okay. All right. I want to move on to a reflex called hand supporting. Okay? This is going to be pretty much the same thing that we did down, but we're going to do it out instead. And what I want you to do this time is, remember I said pretend like you're pushing? This time you don't have to pretend. This time you're going to put some of your finger across the heel of your hand, or some of your fingers across the heel of your hand. Some kind of resistance here. Now, this is not a strengthening exercise, so you're not going to be fighting yourself, right? Just a little bit of resistance here, and you're going to push forward with that resistance, okay? What's important here? Make sure you're at the heel of the hand, because we have another reflex in the middle of the palm, we have another reflex up here, we have another reflex over here, we have another reflex on our wrist, right? So many of these reflexes are triggered from the hand. So make sure you're down here at the heel. Okay, big breath in. Oh, one last thing. I don't want you to go into full extension where you're locking that elbow either. We want to have just an end with just a tiny bit of a bend in that elbow for shock absorption. Like you wouldn't jump with your knee straight, right? And that comes with muscle tone regulation, right? Is being able to have what we call the shock absorption. So you need it with your arms too, because if you catch yourself when you fall and your elbows are locked, you're nodding your head like it, and your elbows are locked, right? You're going to either break a bone or a collarbone or do something to the shoulder, okay? So big breath in and push. Good. This side, big breath in and push. Good. Big breath in and push. So hand supporting is giving you inner strength, okay? Letting you know that you can support yourself. Big breath in and push. Our PTSD protocol has several different steps in it. And one of the steps is releasing. The very first step, we're trying to release all of the negative response that's out there, your fight, flight, freeze, calm the tactile system. But then we also want to do reflexes that give you positive protection and support. Okay, one more on each hand. And last one. Good. Okay. Then it goes into more body awareness exercises, letting you know you have like a right side and a left side, and then cognition, bringing awareness for more clarity of thought and that sort of thing. So there's, different pieces to, different reflexes fall into different categories with our PTSD protocol, trauma protocol. All right, we're going to end with a fun one. So this is Landau reflex, and Landau reflex is all about happiness, all right? Bringing joy back. It's a nice serotonin boost, okay? And so the Landau reflex, all of these reflexes can be seen like when infants, like as a newborn, and they'll go through them. So I don't know if you can think back to any pictures you've seen of yourself as a baby, or your nieces or nephews or your own children, but when they were like doing tummy time and they would come up off the floor and they'd be grinning from ear to ear as happy as can be, that's Landau. Okay, it's wee, it's up through here, all right? So that's what we're gonna do. So one leg, I'll demonstrate for you first. So one leg will be back, arms will be here. Again, now we're gonna open breathing on both sides, right? Because we're gonna come back and open the chest. So we're gonna come back here to open the chest and lean back, but let's not look at the ceiling. Let's try to look forward, but we'll lean back here and come back up. All right. We'll do, did everybody do that one anyway? All right. So let's do the other leg. Ready? Big breath in and open. Open and lean back. See? Never. I'm probably the oldest person in this room. All right. This time we're gonna you have a choice. You can either go wee or you can laugh. Or if you don't want to do either of those, you at least have to smile. Okay, we're gonna do 2 more on each side and then we'll finish with that. Ready? Big breath in. Go. Wee. Good. Other side. Ready? Big breath in. Yes. Ready? Big breath in. Go. Life is great. Woo! And one more time. Ready? Big breath in. I'm happy. Woo! Nice. Okay. Have a seat. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
What age? Because I have a 4-year-old and she's not really cooperative, very busy. How would you start?
You can incorporate it into play. So as a physical therapist, like my 4-year-olds that I work with, I do obstacle courses. And so I incorporate a lot of this stuff into obstacle courses. Especially, like open, close, therapy ball, seesaw. So when they're back on the seesaw, I have them come down, but when they're up on the seesaw, I have them come up. I have them, pass a ball. If you get behind your child, pass a ball, right? Back and forth here. Anything to get the forward and back movement. The rotational movement, you can also pass a ball back to back with rotation. They can do rotation. They can do push-ups off the wall, right? Here we do a lot of dancing. We do a lot of windmills, things. The trunk extension one's a little bit trickier. And then, yeah, my 4-year-olds, I'll usually either pick up or like lay on my back and put them on my legs to get them to come up, or on a swing, on their belly on the swing to come up and to land down. Yeah, so. The push-ups will also work that hand supporting reflex. Okay, so of course we have all of our passive techniques too, but an active 4-year-old, I would try those. Yes?
You said that there was a cerebral palsy protocol as well?
We treat pretty much every diagnosis that there is. And yes, cerebral palsy is one of them. It's a big one. It's, I would say CP and autism are probably the biggest 2 diagnoses that we get. But yes, because we are working on reflexes, neurological reflexes that are genetic, that you were born with. Doesn't matter if you had a birth injury or not. The genes are there, right? Even Down syndrome, the genes are there. So we are working with that, with what nature gave us, and taking you through what should have happened during the first year of life from a reflex neurological perspective. Yes, absolutely. We have conferences, 5-day conferences, 8-day conferences that are intensive therapy sessions. There's 2 a year in California, 2 a year in Minnesota, and then about a dozen a year in Orlando. We have a home office in Orlando. We have another home office in Poland, and we have conferences in the Netherlands and in Poland and in Indonesia and in Australia, if anybody wants to go overseas for a conference. And then we have classes as well. So we are the table all the way down at the end. If you want to stop by and grab a brochure or get our website information, please stop by. Be happy to share it with you. Yes?
I have a little girl who can't facilitate those movements on her own.
Mhm.
So how would you modify them for a child who is extremely limited?
We would do them passively, and I'm cautious when I use the word passively because I'm not just taking everything that I did and laying a child down and moving them through that passively. When we break like this move that we did here, when we break that down passively, we are looking at, okay, where are all the points on our body that we moved from, and telling the body, we're bringing awareness to those points, and then we're showing the body how those points are connected to each other. And then we're bringing those points, just each individual point, together apart. So we are breaking that movement down and proprioceptively working it passively. And then after we've done all of that, then we may bring them in and out of the movement passively. But we are going to add as much proprioception. Proprioception is the key to the body feeling anything. It's the first sensation that you have when you're in utero. And so we use proprioception with every technique that we do, and that's getting the information to the brain.
Do you talk as you're doing it? Are you telling them?
Depends on the child. Some kids, aren't ready to hear, to listen at the same time, right? They're real, and it can be too, like, especially if you're hypersensitive. But the ones that, want to make eye contact, oh, can you feel this? This is your shoulder. Do you know how your shoulder is connected to your center of your body where you move from? Can you feel this connection? Can you feel how the connection comes together and goes apart? Do you feel this arm? Good morning, arm. Did you have a good sleep last night? Right? If the child's ready for that, as long as there's no hypersensitivity, I would talk through it. If there is hypersensitivity, or if we're still really in that freeze, fight, flight, I would probably have a smaller, quieter, so doing all the same things, but just not talking through it, until they can listen without startling all the time. So all ages, all abilities, all creatures. I've done it on my dog. People do it on horses. Can't talk for any other animals, but Any more questions? No? Thank you for coming to the Lunch and Learn. My talk at 3 o'clock is on traumatic brain injury, and I'll show a case study on a concussion client, and just talk about some general traumatic brain injury information. I did do a lecture 2 years ago, and that was on anoxic hypoxic brain injuries. It's on YouTube if you want to take a look at that. I also did another anoxic one this time last year when I wasn't here. That one's an hour and a half, and that one gets into some body physiology and neurophysiology. It gets a little bit more in depth with that. But the one that I did here 2 years ago is easy to follow, yet very informative as well. All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.